What's happening, everybody? It's Rod with POW Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. Today is Tuesday, December 5th. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, we're going to be discussing the new potential Airbnb killer. Has Airbnb finally met its match? We're going to be discussing Booking.com, another alternative to Airbnb. And I've been talking about this for a while now that, I've been looking for alternatives and I've been using VRBO or Vrbo. Haven't had as great of an experience and success with Vrbo as I had with Booking.com, so I've been having a lot more success with that. Very impressed with the overall platform, Booking.com. I've been using it now for about a week, and I've had more bookings on Booking.com in a week than I did all year on Vrbo. But if you're like me and 90 to 95% of your bookings are coming from Airbnb, then this video may be very helpful for you, and you may want to look at Booking.com because, like I said, I think we have a serious competitor on our hands that could eat into Airbnb's market share. I don't think they're going to replace Airbnb. I don't think they're going to actually replace Airbnb or kill Airbnb, but it's certainly going to be another big player in the short-term rental game, in my opinion. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, and you'll be notified on any future videos or whenever I go live. Also, make sure to give us a follow on X, which is formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. And also, if you're new to the channel, if you're just finding the channel for the first time, mostly we cover MJ stocks, crypto assets, and real estate. We do news and interviews as well, but most of it primarily is MJ stocks, and then secondary is crypto assets. And then another thing that we cover on the channel quite frequently is real estate, and specifically Airbnb, short-term rentals. I've purchased a few condos here in Edmonton, Alberta, over the last few years, and I've got some investment properties. I've got some long-term tenants, and then I've also got my Airbnb, my short-term rental, my Vrbo, and now Booking.com. So like I said, hopefully this video can help somebody out there that's you're on Airbnb, and if you've ever been suspended, let me know in the comments if you've ever been suspended from Airbnb as a guest or a host. But if you've ever been suspended, you can quickly realize how much control Airbnb has over us as hosts and our ability to earn a living, right? And to be able to book. And that's one thing I really didn't like about Vrbo was that, I had like maybe, I think, half a dozen bookings all year for 2023 on Vrbo, whereas Airbnb accounted for like 95% of my bookings, right? So that you never want to have all your eggs in one basket. And then I signed up with Booking.com as a result of my account getting suspended on Airbnb. I had it on my to-do list. I mentioned it in this video that I posted 3 days ago. So essentially, Airbnb suspended my listing and account. You'll never guess why was the title of that video. I highly encourage you to check that out if you want to hear my whole experience and just overall complaint with that, because basically they suspended my Airbnb account because of a fire alarm. There wasn't even an actual fire. And basically, if a kid or something like that pulled a prank and set off the fire alarm, my account would have got suspended from on Airbnb for over a week just because of a prank, right? Safety is by no means, a laughing matter or a joking matter, but at the end of the day, there has to be some logic and common sense applied to it. I mean, if lightning strikes the building, is that the host's fault? Like, how can I prevent that, right? If there's someone who pranks and pulls the fire alarm, how can I prevent that? So basically, they reinstated my account yesterday on Monday, December 4th, and they were okay with the fact that I just got the management company to sign off on a letter. I signed it and basically said that there was no fire inside the condo, there was no fire inside the unit, and then the management company signed off on that. The manager of the management company signed off, and that satisfied Airbnb. But just not going to let this go easily. I'm going to be certainly fighting this tooth and nail. I'm going to make sure that I speak to somebody about this in the higher up and managerial level or something like that, because this is just absolutely ridiculous. There's some of these policies that, they just don't make any sense. They don't apply any logic. And I think it has to do with Airbnb just, thinking they're all that. And, they know that they have 90+% market share of short-term rentals. And I think that's only going to dwindle. And like I said, Booking.com, I mentioned that in this video as I had it on my to-do list to sign up for Booking.com, but because I didn't really think it was going to be like Vrbo, right? I barely had I had like half a dozen bookings all year. So I figured something similar was going to be in the cards with Booking.com. I didn't think it was going to be that worth it. But boy, was I ever wrong. I signed up for Booking.com the day of my Airbnb getting suspended. And I very much like their interface. It's very simple and easy to navigate. And even setting up Booking.com as a host and adding my listing was very, very simple. They have a lot of great features, which I'll discuss here in a moment, some of my favorite ones. Still getting used to the platform as well, so I'll continue to update everybody. But so far, their support has been great. They always answer the phone within, not even as a super host or anything like that, right? Just a regular host and a new listing. They were answering the phone within, I would say, less than a minute every time. And I called them at least 4 or 5 times. Everybody's very, very helpful. And like I said, I set this up the day of my Airbnb account getting suspended. And this kind of goes to show you too, you shouldn't wait until something happens where, your account gets suspended or something like that before you set this stuff up, because then, you're scrambling. So I would highly encourage, even if you use Airbnb as a host and you haven't had any issues and your account's active, I would strongly encourage you to get Vrbo and Booking.com as well, in case something like that did ever happen. But like I said, signed up for Booking.com the same day that my Airbnb account got suspended. And before I could even set up, and I mentioned this in this video, but I wanted to dedicate this specifically to Booking.com because that one was pretty long and a little bit of a different topic. But basically, I didn't even get my profile set up or the listing set up, or my personal profile actually, on Booking.com before I had my first booking. So I set it up in the early evening, something like, I think around 5 p.m. And by 8 p.m. I had a booking. I was like, holy, I really didn't expect that. I didn't even get time to set up any house rules. Didn't even get any time to do a damage deposit. Anyway, kind of funny. There was a story, I mentioned it in this video as well, but the story was when I set up the initial booking, the listing, and when the first booking came in, it basically thought that when I configured the payment option, I said, let Booking.com take care of the payments. But because they're in the Netherlands and it was already past midnight, so it was 4 a.m. the next day, it was technically in their system, it was technically the November 26th. And when I set it up, it was November 25th. And then the system wasn't smart enough to realize that I wanted payments set up on the 25th and thereafter. It should just be any bookings beyond this configuring that, that particular setting. If there's a booking from here on out, then handle the payment. But for some reason, it's using a date. So I contacted their support about that, let them know. But hopefully they can fix that. But essentially, I was all discombobulated because I didn't know if the payment went through. I had this booking. I didn't even finish filling everything in for my listing, and then I had this booking, and I couldn't figure out how to accept the payment. And it was you can accept cash or e-transfer, and I'm like, this is strange. So I'm on the phone trying to get support to help me out, but they were very helpful, and we were able to figure it out. I actually figured it out pretty much on my own, being in IT and having a technical background. But I brought that up to her about the 26th, and being in the Netherlands, she's like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's probably what's going on, right? But one thing I really love about Booking.com is the fact that they're already starting to gain a lot of traction. You can see here, this is the heat map of all the listings right now. They're more popular with hotels. But like I said, I had my first booking within a couple of hours of setting up my listing. And already I think I had 5 bookings on Booking.com in a week. That's more reservations and bookings on Booking.com in a week than I had all year on Vrbo, basically. So I highly encourage, if you're using Airbnb, I would strongly encourage you to sign up for Booking.com. And then obviously Vrbo is another option if you want to sign up for that one. But if I had to rank them, I would do Airbnb, Booking.com, and then Vrbo. But Vrbo, I notice, has been doing a lot more advertising. So on YouTube ads and things like that, Google ads, seeing them a lot more. So I think they will kind of start to grab some market share. But like I said, Booking.com is a real contender here. I don't think they're going to kill Airbnb. A lot of people are wondering if there's ever going to be anybody to even compete with them maybe even 10 or 20% market share, and I think Booking.com could do that. But like I said, in terms of features, really like what I see so far. I really like the templates that you can do with Booking.com. You can even set triggers, and you can even do variables. So let's say you want to create a template called a welcome one, right? So you can do hello, and then you can put like in brackets first name, and then in brackets last name, and then it would automatically send hello, first name, last name of the guest. And then you can put in the body of the message, and then you can even attach an image to the message. And then you can set a trigger when someone books your listing or makes a reservation. It automatically sends the welcome message after they've booked. And then you can tailor it. Like I said, it personalizes it to their name. And then like me, on my listing, I need to know whether or not they need parking, because I have heated underground parking as well as an option, but not everybody needs it. So I need to know if they need parking. So I attach an image which has all the information that I need, like license plate, the license plate number, the make, model, color. So then I attach that image to it, and then it automatically triggers and sends that message. I don't have to do anything. So if I'm sleeping and someone books my listing on Booking.com, it automatically sends them that welcome message and attaches the image of the license plate information and asks them whether or not, thanks them for the booking, then asks them whether or not they need parking. And then, I could be sleeping, and then they message me back, and then I can, reply to it later on, right? So it's great. First, that first welcome message, which is customizable. I love that fact. I really like that you can attach images to it as well. You can also use damage deposits on Booking.com. I think Vrbo has it as well, but Booking.com, you can charge it a damage deposit. You also get that 1 million liability partner insurance as well, but I really like the damage deposit. Airbnb doesn't have that, and I think that is a great feature, because when people pay a damage deposit, they're way less likely to do anything malicious, or to do anything to damage your property or any of your stuff, right? So that's just a couple of the features that I like. Like I said, I've only been using it for about a week, and I'll continue to update everybody, but you can see here there's a ton of options. Like I said, most of them are hotels, but it was to my surprise that I had a booking within the first few hours. So if you're wondering if Booking.com is worth it, I would strongly recommend signing up. I do believe it is worth it in the end. And then, like I said, as these companies start to advertise more, and Airbnb with some of the ridiculous policies just getting a little bit too big too quickly, their service starts to degrade. People are just gonna, not even hosts but guests as well, are going to be looking for other alternatives, because when a company gets too big too quickly, there's usually a lot of kinks to iron out, and things that just make people unhappy and dissatisfied. And I was one of those people, but luckily I was able to get my account reactivated. But like I said, I'm putting a lot more focus onto some other alternatives, and I really like so far Booking.com. The overall experience has been great, and I highly encourage you to check that out. But going to end it there, it's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth. If this video was helpful, smash like. I would appreciate it. Share it with your network, and we'll see you again on the next video.